All right, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 328. It is the 24th of February, 2021. Now that we got the really important date information out of the way, we can get into saying hi to everybody and then get into your questions. We do have a couple quick announcements, but we will get to those shortly. So let's see, going to go around the circle here and start with Chris. How you doing today?
Doing excellent here. I noticed your shirt, and when is mine coming over? Like, I know, like COVID and stuff, but like.
Fair enough. Yeah, we got to get the store set up. So yeah, I pulled this one out. I forgot I had it. This thing's in like mint condition. It was hiding in the back of my closet, so I haven't.
Got you. That's why it's looking so neat.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, well, anyways, Marco, how you doing today? Uh-oh, you're muted.
Hello.
There we go.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I mean, what can I say? What can I look? Oh, I was going to. If I go too much into the window, then I start disappearing off into the light. I'm being called into the light. It's not a fake background. It is what it is. I've been showing it, in fact, for over a year now. The plan was to show it for a year, every Wednesday, right? So that people could see this is Costa Rica, no matter what. Like, you never see me in a sweater. Ever. I don't need it. I mean, it's what it is. It's beautiful. My fortress of solitude. We talk about POFU all the time, right? Like, what's your POFU? What are you going to define as your POFU? This is part of mine. This is where I choose to live. This is where I choose to be. I don't have to be here. Many people are stuck in a place where they have to be, where they have no choice. I tell people, get away from that. Get away from not having a choice. And the way to give yourself the choices that you want or that you need are to follow the path to POFU, position of fuck you, where you can just decide what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and nobody, I mean nobody tells you what to do or how to do it.
You know, I think what we might have to do is get someone to go through the videos and put together a flip book of you for all the Wednesdays. So we'll just have we need someone to go in and take a screenshot. Yeah.
Yeah, right. That'd be awesome. Funny.
Hernan, you there?
I'm here, man.
How's it going?
Good. They didn't let me in for some reason. It's not like I'm getting drunk in the middle of the hangout and creating a bunch of ruckus.
I don't know, but now you
the bouncer at the door.
Now I'm wondering if you're getting drunk in the middle of the day.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I swear to God, the bouncer at the door doesn't let me in. No, I'm good, man. I'm happy to be back. Last week I was traveling and was visiting clients, consulting a little bit, and it was good. Happy to be back home, back in the routine. I was craving for some routine. Even a week, completely bust my productivity, but we're good.
Cool. All right, man. And last but not least, Bradley, how you doing today?
Good. I'm good. Busy. And it's like almost 70 degrees here in Virginia in the middle of February, when just like 3 days ago, it was like 22 degrees, in the middle of the afternoon. So it's really weird, but it's warm up here. And by the way, my Semantic Mastery shirt's awfully warm. Look at that.
Like, you can even tell. That's good. You've just been putting it through its paces for a few years. So
yeah, I've gotten my use out of this one, that's for sure. So I need a new shirt just like you have, Adam.
All right, well, we got to get that set up then. I'll get the ball rolling on that. We've had a few people pinging us about getting some shirts or some like a baseball cap. So we're going to get that stuff set up, and once we do, we'll let everyone know about it, and obviously I'll get you guys set up. So before we get into the questions, just wanted to say, first of all, thanks for watching. We know a lot of people check it out. Not everybody's able to attend live, and whether you're live or watching the replay on YouTube, we appreciate it. Let us know you're watching. Say hi. You don't have to ask the question if you don't want to. We know some people just like coming by, seeing what's being answered, and kind of picking up the knowledge they can. So that's fine too. Just say hi or leave a comment. And if you're new to Semantic Mastery or MGYB, best place for you to start is theseoshield.com. That's the word the, and then seoshield.com. All right. Find out how to shield your site. You don't have to worry about algorithm updates again. Yeah, it's free training. Just go check it out. And that way you'll also know what the hell we're talking about when we say SEO Shield, which is very good. And it's going to be very good for you down the road. So go check that out. If you're looking for something more in line with kind of a bigger overview as far as what we do in terms of SEO results, check out the battle plan. You can get that at battleplan.semanticmastery.com. And then next, we get people asking us a lot of times about, hey, I'm either a small agency owner or I'm a consultant. I want to get more clients. I want to grow my revenue and I want to scale my team. So if you can answer yes to any of those, 2x Your Agency is what you want to check out. And that's just 2xyouragency.com. You can find out more about that. And then last but certainly not least, if you want to grow your digital marketing business, although we do have some business owners in this group as well, but the mastermind is really where you want to be. If you want an experienced community and fast access to real world info, then go check it out, mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And also I just mentioned the SEO Shield not too long ago. You can find out about the SEO Shield, syndication networks, the link building, press releases, all this done for you stuff we talk about over at mgyb.co. And we talk about that a lot because it's services we use as well. And we recommend you do too. We understand sometimes you got more time than money when you're getting started and you got to put in the time, build it yourself. But especially if you're doing client work, you should be outsourcing this or training someone to build that stuff for you. So either go through the training or get stuff done at MGYB. Save yourself time and allow yourself to grow that way. All right, guys, that's it on my end. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we dive into questions?
One last thing, charity webinars. We just got finished on Monday. We outdid ourselves. I know I'm biased, but that's what people are saying. I'm seeing it on my page. I'm seeing it in our groups. It was massive. I gave away the farm, basically. If people know what to look for, if people were paying attention, if people understand what it is that they got, all right? But that's the whole point, understand it. So during the last webinar, what we did was put everything together. Put it together so that this kind of, what do we call it, plan of attack, a way to go and get results. Because we got just massive information. Bradley gave the farm away. He gave a whole course away. During the first webinar, fantastic. Then comes Dixon Jones, content and entities. Then comes Jordan with how to brand yourself, how to create that brand and how to hook it up with the entity, how to deliver the message properly. And then we got Brian Cattle showing how entities work in images and how we can spam Google with images and get our entity more recognition. And then the last one is we put it all together. And so just because they're finished doesn't mean that people can't access, that they can't donate. You just go donate, you follow the instructions, send proof of the donation to the Gmail that I've been sharing, and then you'll get access to the recordings because the last one will be uploaded probably today or tomorrow. It needed a little bit of editing.
Sweet.
Awesome. And Marco, you got the instructions on the Hump Day Hangouts page for people?
I will drop it in there.
Awesome. Cool. Let's check out the questions.
All right. Let me grab the screen. Okay. Yeah, we're zoomed in. So it looks like we're starting with Chaz today. He says, hey guys, thanks for answering my question last week. I have another and not hypothetical. I'm building out a site at the moment. The subject or main keyword is like Google, and I'm targeting a product subtopic, but a very original specific name given to a certain product line that is related to the brand. For the sake of this question, I'll call it F Google. My question is in regards to subdomains. Would it be beneficial to make a subdomain, for example, google.branddomain.com/fgoogle? I know I can make a subfolder for Google, but I'm thinking of keeping the hops to a minimal. From what I've been told in Jeffery Smith's SEO Bootcamp course, Google reads and takes keywords furthest left priority per se. By the way, a great course for you guys have recommended for the last few years. So he's talking about Jeffery Smith's SEO Bootcamp, which is a fabulous course. And that is a question that I honestly am not sure how to answer. Marco, that is definitely one for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's looking to do, because why a subdomain with somebody else's brand? Is that what he's saying? Because you can just go subfolder if what you're looking is for power and to avoid additional hops, instead of being in the subdomain, just move it into a subfolder.
Okay.
So to me, that's a misinterpretation of what Jeffery Smith is teaching, because he's thinking that the URL structure should keep I see what he means now. Should keep that subdomain name to the left, since that includes the keyword. But no, proper URL structure would be your brand and then the subfolder.
Yeah.
Because
So
that's what the bot understands, right?
so the way that and just to kind of reiterate what you said, but maybe in a different way. And I would agree that I would rather have my brand name first, so root domain, and then in this example, Google as the primary topic or category, and then F Google as a subcategory. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question.
Category, or he can even, I mean, insert, which is, if you don't want to go subdomain, if you want to bring the something like a subdomain to the root domain, then what you do is you install a subfolder. But again, yes, you're right. You don't need that. What you need is simply a category that's titled F Google and work from there, the top level category, and try to rank that. And you're going to see that you start ranking for all the low hanging fruit when you try to deliver all that power to that top level category. Yep.
Yeah, because the way he's got this, it's almost like it's two different sites. There's the brand, because he's talking about installing it on a subfolder
Yes.
or a subdomain. So that would be like a separate site. So I'm not sure what the configuration, why you would do that. But what Marco is saying is that it's better to go as a subfolder than it is a subdomain. And years ago, we taught, that, and I did it myself. I used to always use subdomains for just about everything. So for example, for a multi-location, local business or lead generation, whatever, I would have the root domain, but then for each additional location, so each additional GMB location, essentially, I would have a subdomain that was named after that city. So it would be city.branddomain.com. And I would have separate WordPress installs for each one. And that, that worked in part because Google would treat a subdomain as a standalone domain, as opposed to, like, so for example, if any one of the locations were to catch a penalty, it wouldn't affect the other locations and it wouldn't affect the root domain. Whereas if we had put them on subfolders, so they each had, or just built one site and then did everything through categories and perhaps tags, which is the way that I do it now, then if any one of those locations were to catch a penalty, then it would affect the root because it was all built on the root domain, if that makes sense. So I used to segregate or separate everything, keep them separate for that reason. But, over the years now, since really Marco started developing like the entity-based SEO and semantic web SEO and all that kind of stuff, I haven't had any problems with any of my locations. So I stopped doing subdomains and started building everything out now on just the root domain and using standard category taxonomy and tags now for location silos. And I do all that on the root domain as opposed to having multiple subdomains or multiple subfolders. And it just makes it so much easier to manage a brand and multiple location projects. So I'm just speaking on that because I think it's similar in what it is that you're doing. If you use the types of methods that we've been teaching, you shouldn't have to worry about catching a penalty to your root domain at all. So it's better for SEO to do, and also easier to manage if you can keep it all under one WordPress install. But if you needed a second WordPress install, then it's recommended now, correct me if I'm wrong, Marco, but to do that as a subfolder as opposed to a subdomain. Is that correct?
We go subfolder. People have to understand, even dot is a subdomain or whatever. You've seen a however many dubs you want. .3, .2, they're all subdomains. The root is anything after the dot. And so if you want to power up the root, yeah, we go into subdomains and you install, not subdomains, excuse me, but subfolders, and install as many as you want, because you are not going to smash those subfolders, and not like we used to, not like how we used to beat up the subdomains, where we did it that way because we'd expect to catch a penalty and then we could just disconnect that subdomain. But I mean, we protect the money site so much that it isn't necessary anymore, like you said. I mean, that's what we look to do now, because we see the power that the drive stacks have with the expansions, right? We've seen the power that develops over time. And so from seeing that, we understand that installing everything on the root domain is where all the power should accrue, so that you can deliver it any way you want.
Sweet. All right. Thank you for that. So Rocket Blaster's up. He says, the more backlinks, the better chance I have at outranking my competitors for a local service business. Already purchased some SEO shields. No, not necessarily. It's not about the quantity. It's It's about relevancy, right? Quality, relevancy, and also, you know, again, the way that we teach is building all to this SEO shield as opposed to the money site. So I don't know, how, Marco, how would you answer this one?
No, that's not, I mean, and even John Mueller came out and had something to say on this. It's not the amount of backlinks. We've been saying this for years now.
Yeah.
It's not the amount, but the quality of the activity, relevance, trust, and authority in accordance with the distance graph algorithm and the distance graph pattern, which measures how far you are away from a trusted source. We did this presentation on Monday, guys. Go and donate to the charity and understand why an orphaned website with a backlink will not have the power that a relevant website that's related to an entity has. Go. We explained it. We showed it. I mean, we did. Rob did the relational comparison between the Google relational database and the way that we approach entity building, and how you can mimic that to the greatest effect, taking advantage of the distance graph, which measures hops away from authority and authoritative and trusted sources. I'm not talking Moz. I am not talking any third-party vanity metrics. I'm talking about the Google patent, the algorithms that matter, which are Google's and nobody else's. And it's nobody else's to know because they won't give it up. But understanding how these algorithms work, meaning that we are as close to the belly of the beast as possible. There is no more trust of an authoritative source on the web than Google. We all know that. The second most trusted and authoritative source on the web is Wikipedia. Google trained its AI, in part, on Wikipedia. When you start understanding this and applying it and putting it all together, then you'll know the answer to this question. I mean, we've done 1 million backlinks. They work perfectly well, but Dedia categorizes, right, his Web 2.0 profiles so that they're relevant and they provide further relevance, and they're going into our Drive Stack and GSite, which is Google. And so that's trust and authority there. So we're taking full advantage of activity, relevance, trust, and authority so that we don't have to master 2,000 something ranking factors, positive and negative. We don't have to know that. All we have to know is activity, relevance, trust, and authority. And everything in these over 2,000 ranking factors fall under one of those categories.
Sweet. All right. So the next part of that was, once I receive my backlinks, can I continue to buy some and point them at the previous backlinks to create tiered links? You can. However, when you order the links, you can order tiered links. And that's what we recommend if you order some of the link building packages that are kind of pre-created, or you can create your own, and you can always add additional layers to that link building order. So I'll just tell you how I do it. I don't take the link building. So when we get the link building gig has been delivered, right? We get a Google sheet that has all the tier 1 links, and then the second tab has all the tier 2 links. And I just send those to an indexing service, and I don't even send the second tier links from the Google sheet to an indexing service because it's typically tens of thousands of them. But I'll do the first tier links, right? I'll send those to an indexing service, and then that's pretty much it. I might run it through an indexing service again at a later date. But other than that, I'll just buy additional link building packages to power up the SEO shield properties or syndication network properties or specific post URLs from the syndication network or whatever, right? So essentially just depending on what it is that I'm trying to target. But I don't, and again, maybe there is some benefit to building links to the previously built backlinks, but I don't do that just because I'm constantly powering up different URL sets from my tier 1 entity assets, if that makes sense. Because I ordered tiered link building. When I order a link building gig, it's already tiered. So I don't then build additional links to those links. I just continue to build links to different URL sets from my tier 1 entity assets. I hope that was clear. Anybody want to comment on that?
No, that was perfect. But it could make sense to run a tiered link building gig into a tiered link building gig for better indexing.
That's true.
I've seen many times that when you do that, you get better indexing not only on the previous tiered link building set, but also like into the syndication networks and into Drive. But that's simply a matter, and we've shared this before, of pushing the further tiers further in. The more activity relevance, trust, and authority, or the art of art that takes place in the outer tiers, the further that they come in. Now, you can imagine this as tiers on a cake, where, I mean, you put your finger on the lowest tier, and then you go up to the next tier and the next one and the next one. I mean, that's actually what you're doing. You're moving up in tiers. Or think of electrons moving closer, right? Moving closer in, or jumping in. However it is that you want to look at this, activity, relevance, trust, and authority brings the outer tiers in so that there's better indexing.
Sweet. Okay, so the next question is from Jackson. He says, is there a way we can bulk mirror location pages from the money site into the GSite with the same URL structure rather than manually creating all the pages in sites.google.com? And Marco, that one's for you, because my team still does it manually. So.
All right, so bulk mirror location page. No, it's manual.
Okay.
Money site, give me a second. Let me just see what he's talking about. Location pages from the money site into the GSite with no, you can't do it with the same URL structure. You can't. How can you do the same URL structure when your domain is yourbrand.com and the Google site is sites.google.com whatever, unless you mean that you want the same set of keywords that are in the original URL and that are in the original URL into this. And the only way I know how to do this in an automated way is through the software that we use, and that's never getting out of in-house, because we paid a whole lot of money for that. A whole lot of time went into developing it. I mean, just crazy hours into doing that, and that's never seen the light of day. I'm sorry.
Now, this is a question I'm asking because I'm curious, Marco.
Sure.
Now, like something like Ubot Studio doesn't work well with GSites, does it?
I've never tried it. Okay. Ubot Studio, we had that really bad experience with a Ubot Studio, one of the top guys in there, and then I just never tried it again. Might have been the guy. It might have nothing to do with Ubot Studio, but it left a really bad taste in my mouth, and I don't want to ever go through that again.
Yeah, and I've never tried to build out anything like that. I was just curious because I know that you and the team had tried to build out, and I know we've got something on the back end that we use for automating some stuff, but almost everything that we do is still manual. So I was just curious if you'd ever had any experience trying to automate anything like that with Ubot, because I don't know if it could be done or not.
Not with Ubot. We did it. I mean, that's how we create the expansion stacks. That's how we expand them, right? We can add whatever we want into the URL structure, and we can copy the Drive stack and the GSite. That's all software. That, again, guys, I can't give you that. Yeah. I mean, you can go and buy it from us. You're more than welcome to that. But we spent a ton of money, and not only the money that we spent, and are still paying to this day, but the hours that I spent on that, and the hours that developer spent on that, and what do you call it, Caesar and Rob, ridiculous hours. No, I can't give that away. You're welcome to use it. We made it available in our mgyb.co store. You can order expansion stacks all day long. But I mean, we came up with it, and that's the service that we provide, not the how-to.
There you go. Yeah, and I remember you and your team working on that for months and months and months. So yeah, I can understand not wanting to reveal that for sure. All right, Ninja's up. Says, hey guys, when you come to using email providers, do you see any SEO or other benefit of using Gsuite versus something like Zoho Mail? Zoho Suite has a huge number of apps that makes life much easier for running a business with all tools under one roof. I've been trying to integrate Gsuite Mail with Zoho, but at this point, I'm not sure it is worth my effort. Thanks for the input. Okay, I have no experience with Zoho whatsoever. I used, it was formerly Gsuite, but now it's Google Workspace or Workspaces. I think it's Workspace. Anyway, that's what I use, and I have been now for a couple of years for cold email contact and prospecting. But I'm also using High Level, which is an app that will allow me to automate and turn Google Workspace email through SMTP into like an automated emailing platform. Now, it's not technically designed for that. Like they recommend inside a High Level to use Mailshake, which is an SMTP provider as well. Or excuse me, not Mailshake. They recommend in High Level to use Mailgun, which integrates with High Level. And I don't like that though. So I'm still using Gsuite, but I'm also doing prospecting, cold prospecting. So sending out cold emails, I'm doing low volume. So much more targeted type emails instead of doing mass emails. So I can't comment on Zoho because I've never used it. I like using Google stuff, Google domains or Google Workspace, excuse me, for emailing for a number of reasons. Number one, it's Google. I'm familiar with it. I'm used to using, I built my entire business on Google Apps. My entire business is really built to optimize Google stuff for clients, so I'm just comfortable with that. Number one. Number two, it integrates with High Level, which is my chosen platform for marketing automation. And then number three is it's a Google property. So by buying a domain and paying Google, like that instantly adds some authority and validation, entity validation for whatever brand it is that I'm using it for. So there's a couple of reasons or several reasons why I choose to use Google Workspace. Now, that all said, I just launched a new agency and just started prospecting last Monday. So we're about a week and a half in. I'm getting really, really good results already. I'll be talking a lot more about this kind of stuff in the mastermind, but I took a really, really good, inexpensive cold email course that I just got. It attracted me from a Facebook ad. But anyways, it's called Cold Email Mastery. And it's on Gumroad. And I can't remember the guy's name. But if I pull it up, it looks like, here it is, this one right here. And the only reason why I'm pulling this up, guys, is because, first of all, it's only $125. And it's an outstanding cold email course for prospecting, right? For using cold emails to get your foot in the door or to open up a conversation with your target prospects. It's outstanding. It's real short, to the point. It's no fluff. It's all actionable stuff. I love the guy's style. He's much like Marco in that he cusses in his training. It's funny. He's real to the point. Like there's no fluff, no polish, nothing. So it's a really good course. I would recommend it. And he talks about using Mailshake as the best emailing platform. Now, I haven't used it. I think I may start to try that at some point as my prospecting volume increases for my new agency. If I get to a point where I feel like I'm reaching the limits that a Gsuite or Google Workspace account should be doing for cold emails, then that will be the app that I test, which is Mailshake. But that's only because, again, I thought this course was outstanding and that's what he recommends. So I can't speak on Zoho. But I personally still, to this day, even for my new agency, I'm cold prospecting right now, and I'm using Google Workspace, but I'm using High Level to automate it. But as I said, if I needed to upgrade to something that is more designed for cold email marketing, then it's likely I will go with Mailshake. And by the way, again, I highly recommend anybody that's doing cold emailing for prospecting, check this course out. It's fabulous. Any comments on that, guys?
How long ago did I write the RYS Black Book? About 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, at least.
And didn't we talk about paying Google extra drive space? Gsuite back then, whatever it is now, whatever iteration it is now. Didn't we mention that? I mean, we talked about it and we spoke why. We were talking entities back then. Now it's a big thing. 4 years ago when this was done, when RYS Academy was released, over 5 years ago, we went and said, focus on your entity, make sure it's not a known entity, but make sure Google knows and understands that you're a real person with a credit card and that you become a customer rather than a leech, rather than someone who uses the free resources and only the free resources. And what that does is it's not going to necessarily directly, it's not cause and effect in how it will affect your rankings. There's a correlation though between paying Google and being safer, being able to get away with more. And the way that I see this is they have your credit card on file or your debit card or however it is that you're paying them. And they know that it's a customer and they can make money from you. So it's unlikely that they're going to mess with someone that's making them money. So I think, and again, this is one of the only times that I'll share theory. My theory is that the bot will move elsewhere before coming back to you and checking on whatever it is that you're doing. So it's just a way to provide extra protection for whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, and as I said, I've been using Google domains. Oh, and that's again, I'm not even going to get into that, but just some amazing stuff that was taught in this course about like even using Google domains to purchase your domain through a Gsuite account, because now you're registering a domain through Google Domains through an existing Google Workspace account, and it will automatically set up Google Workspace on the new domain with the SPF records, your DKIM records. All of that stuff is all done instantly, and it's $3 more than it cost to buy a domain from Google Domains than it is from Namecheap. And so I don't know. I picked up a lot of really good tips from this course. And as I said, I've been using Google Domains now for, I don't know, like the last Google Workspace, excuse me, Gsuite for emails for like the last maybe 3 years. Might have only been 2, but 2 or 3 years. And it's hands down my preferred method. So for any new project that I start, that's the first thing I do is I go set up a Google Workspace. Now I'm going to start buying them through Google Domains, likely buy the domains through Google Domains. But usually I'd buy domains from Namecheap, and then I would instantly go set up a Gsuite account for that new project or a Google Workspace account. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Google Workspace for email. Okay. That's a great question, by the way. Next is BB with multiple questions. As always, he goes, number 1 is, does user intent prevail over, I guess, over domain authority and page authority altogether? In my opinion, yes. And that's just because that's, again, the methods that, we've been teaching about activity, relevance, trust, and authority. And I stopped caring about third-party metrics several years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And we've really focused on relevancy and user intent, right? Which is, it's huge. And we've proven that activity, relevance, trust, and authority. So if you're getting traffic, especially from a relevant audience, especially from a known relevant audience by Google, so a defined audience by Google, it can move the needle even for SEO. So, just that those engagement signals from an audience that Google understands or knows have an interest in that, right? That's a great ranking signal. So Marco can answer this better as far as the metric side of things, but I can tell you, I stopped giving a shit about third-party metrics 4 or 5 years ago, and I have not looked back since. I honestly just don't care about them. I care more about relevancy.
Ever since we started talking about activity, relevance, trust, and authority, the art of art, domain authority and page authority are Moz metrics. What's the other? Trust flow, citation flow.
Yeah,
that's Majestic. Then we have whatever Ahrefs, whatever
I think is Ahrefs, domain rank, I think.
Whatever algorithm it is that they're developed, none of those are Google and the distance graph. None. Now they might have a lot of smart people and might have a lot of former Google people. They might have a lot of engineers and smart people. I get it, and we all have access to the math, and we can all do the math, but only Google knows how the algorithm works. Having said that, we've seen time and again how someone coming in and providing, and it's not user intent, is the activity of that user on your website. What that user does on your website. So does the user come in, spend time on your website, watch your videos, scroll over your images, and then give you the information? Fill out the form. Or if what the goal that you said is to watch a video, or if the goal that you said is for a phone call, are the users doing that? Because if they're not, then the final goal isn't being accomplished, and Google will send them elsewhere where they can fulfill whatever it is that search query was looking to. It also depends on a search query, what it is that person is expected to do on the website. This is all AI now. That's watching all of this flow and watching for that, whatever the completion is. Has the customer been fulfilled? Or do they go elsewhere and look for something else, and do they take action there? Well, then that gets a better signal than whatever you did. Or did they do a comparison and come back to your website? That's even better. So they went and looked, they looked at others, that's comparison shopping, they come back to you and they give you the information, boom, cinched. I mean, that activity, not user intent, but activity trumps anything on the web. I don't care what it is. You can talk about page speed and all this other shit that Google's coming up with to try to trick people into doing things other than what they're supposed to be doing, which is focusing on that entity and getting that person to complete the goal that you set for them on that page.
There you go. So question number 2 of many is, have you ever experienced fast rankings on first page, let's say 1 to 2 months, on a regular domain, non-GSite, for easy or semi-easy or semi-tough keywords? Yeah, I mean, many times, although I haven't experienced that lately, but I haven't really been starting a whole lot of new domain projects. But yeah, I mean, in the past, I've absolutely done that. More so with GMB stuff, but yeah, I mean, sometimes, and it's interesting. I did a test. This was years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, but it was a test inspired by Terry Kyle. But it was about testing different domains just to see sometimes even a new domain that has never been previously registered for some reason, just it's like it goes into a sandbox and just won't rank, right? Or it just doesn't respond well to anything. And so I did a test to kind of and Terry Kyle had a blog post about this many years ago where he said that he had a hypothesis that, you know, it was some sort of random chaos or something like that. I forget what he called it, but he had a name for it. And he was saying that, like, if you were to take, you know, buy 5 domains that have never been previously registered and pretty much optimize them with the same sort of content, you know, they'd have to be different, but the same sort of content, and you just send them out there like to be indexed, and then just track to see where they would initially index, right? To see where they initially index. He says, you know, out of those 5, even if they're all like gibberish type content or whatever, you'll see that usually 1 or 2 of them will be terrible. Like they'll index, but maybe there's many pages back, or, you know, whatever. And then maybe 1 of them out of those 5 will end up indexing quite well. And there's really no rhyme or reason. I can't remember what he had a specific term for it, but I thought it was a really interesting test, and I did it myself. And I remember I did a case study for the mastermind, and I guarantee they're still in the archives, but we're talking about from like 2014 or 15 timeframe. But I did that with plumbing domains. I had bought several different plumbing domains. They were all new, never been registered, and I tested that. And sure enough, one of them ended up like landing on page 2 or whatever when it indexed, and it was like all the other ones were, you know, several pages back. And for whatever reason, there was no way for me to determine which one of those domains were going to rank better. But that was the one that I chose to end up building a client project on, because it ranked well initially right out of the bat with nothing being done to it other than just being indexed. And so I thought that was a really interesting test that, you know, I'm not saying every time you go to start a new project that you go out and, you know, register 5 domains and see which one ranks best and then build the project out on that. Although that's not a bad idea. That's a lot of additional work. I just thought it was an interesting test. So have I done it before? Yes. I haven't seen it more recently, but with GMBs I have. If you optimize a GMB correctly and it's, you know, it's in a lower competition area, then sometimes that GMB will pop right into the 3-pack. For, you know, a search within its immediate local area. And that happens, again, I haven't seen it lately, but I have done it in the past. And I've even done GMB ranking in the 3-pack within the first month, within, you know, the last year or so I've done that. So yes, I've seen it. Marco, you want to comment on that?
Didn't he call it the randomness factor?
Yeah. Random ranking factor. Maybe that was it.
Something like that, where it just won't index, or for whatever, it'll go into a sandbox and Google will just refuse to rank it.
Yeah.
Random ranking.
I think it was random ranking factor.
Yeah. It's just that the algorithm burps. It's so complex that there's constant degradation, right? I mean, I talked about this on what was it, last night, the mini mastermind. We talked about random algorithmic degradation. We talked about algorithmic bias. We talked about, I mean, just a whole bunch of things that are taking place while all of these algorithms are, think about millions of lines of code. The algorithm degrades over time. And if you're trying to predict behavior, it degrades even faster. trying to predict that behavior. And so all of these training models are degrading, and these people are having to go and update these things constantly. It's not that, okay, so what is the image that we have of Google? It's this like overseer, all powerful, all knowing Oz that's seeing everything. And all it is a set of servers with a set of code with a whole bunch of people working on the code. It can't be anything else. That's what it's not. Yeah, they do come on a manual, but when they come out on a manual, it's someone in a computer coming and looking over your website through their computer. That's all it is. It's not magic. I keep telling you, it's not magically delicious. This ain't Lucky Charms, man. That's not what it is. And so with all of these factors and things taking place in the algorithm, it's just going to burp from time to time. And then when that happens, no matter what you do, you can't get it to rank.
Yeah.
Period.
I remember calling that the algorithmic anomaly, and that's what it is. And just
that's all
really,
it is.
Really quick, this I just did a search on that term, Terry Kyle random ranking factor, and it pops in a blurb from Diggity Marketing, and he talks about you need to expect the random ranking factor. The random ranking factor is a phenomenon coined by SEO Terry Kyle. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. So this would probably be a good article just to read through, if nothing else. So there you go. Okay.
Cool.
Next, let's see, is another one from BB. He says, is there an automation for Content Kingpin for money site post creation? No, all of my bloggers, which I've only got 2 now on staff, they do everything manually. And we've always done it that way because, first of all, the content, I mean, there is one tool that I could say you could probably get away with automating curated content, and that would be Damon Nelson's RSS Master technology. I don't personally use that. Again, my team still does everything manually. Like, for example, Esther, my best blogger, she's my primary blogger. She, uses Feedly, and we add content feeds to Feedly, but then we also add content to what's called content boards. So we can set up like different categories and subcategories and all that kind of stuff and add content to content boards. And then so whenever she goes to blog, she just goes in and pulls open a content board, finds articles that will complement a topic that she's trying to blog about. Like, in other words, sometimes it'll reinforce an idea that she's trying to convey. Sometimes there will be opposing opinions so it's kind of like an argumentative essay. If you took, college English classes, you probably had to do that. My point is, like, all the content that we could ever need is in Feedly. That's our content library that then she uses to curate posts for clients. And she's very, very efficient at it and very good. Her posts are outstanding. She's been working for me for probably longer, 6 or 7 years, maybe even longer than that. And she's really, really skilled at it. So we do everything manually. But I think if there was a tool that could automate that, and again, I'm not sure if there's other tools out there that may be able to do this, but I know Damon Nelson's RSS Master technology would likely be able to automate curated posts to a degree. And you could set up some sort of a function where, it creates an RSS feed from the RSS Master technology that then you could trigger publishing posts to your money site. Again, I still prefer it manually just because we have more control over everything. But I think if you were going to try to automate it, that would be a good tool to attempt it with, although I've not done it myself. Any comment on that, guys?
We're using Jordan's method that taught in POFU, that he taught in POFU, which is using software as a service to tune the content. I mean, razor sharp, tune it for the bot, tune the entity. And so what you get is a template, more or less, or a guideline on what it is that you're supposed to write. Now, once you have that, you can just go and like maybe FAQ, but you shouldn't be doing it. You should have a VA that's doing all of this. Train your VA on how to do it. Our VA, my VA knows how to go into the different software, build it from the 2 software that we use, pull the schema, because it will give you the additional schema that you should have with that. And then from that, she will write the content that's now focused on the entity that we're trying to push up in the ranking. It works fantastically well. You can do the same with curated content. By the way, Dixon Jones from Inlinks, which is one of the SaaS products that we use just wrote a great blog on how to use curated content. And so you take our content kingpin method, you run it through the different software, and it'll come out tuned. I don't know what I mean, you can do it automated, but why would you when you can have something that's hyper focused, hyper tuned for the entity and whatever else is related to the entity, because all of the AI told you how to create those relationships. It works incredibly well.
Yeah. So the next one is from Nigel. By the way, we got a awesome charity webinar, so comment on that. But Nigel asks, what is a solid local business directory to find business contacts, like, for example, business adjacent to real estate with contact information? I'm not sure I understand the question. Goal, I want to find all architects and home builders by geography with some solid information that can be used for targeting, not spamming. Okay. If you're talking by geography, okay, so what I would say, so you're looking to find specific contacts in a specific industry, but also by location. So first and foremost, I would just go to Google and do searches for industry, whatever that is, business directory, right? So in my case, like a tree service business directory, right? Or tree contractor business directory or something like that, right? And just start collecting the URLs of those industry or niche specific directories. That's number one. Number two, look at industry publications. So like associations, member associations, for example, like TCIA, Tree Care Industry of America, or something like that, right? So you can usually find industry publications or membership organizations, associations, those types of things that are industry specific. And oftentimes they will have business directories or professional directories for, companies and professionals in that industry. So look for association or industry, publications, membership groups, that kind of stuff. That's another great source for that kind of thing. So those are two that I would recommend right off the bat. Another one would be, and I just started testing more, like literally today. I just started testing some more. I've got them open in some of my browser tabs, in fact, but started testing for LinkedIn. LinkedIn might be also another good opportunity for you to find your specific target prospect. And you can, I'm still using the free LinkedIn account right now, but I've in the past, I've used Sales Navigator, and Sales Navigator opens up a shit ton of additional filtering options and a lot of additional contact options. So you can get a lot of intel from that. I just started testing what's called Octopus CRM. That's this one right here. It's a LinkedIn tool. I just signed up for this today, and I'm going to start testing this, but this in conjunction with something like LinkedIn Sales Navigator will give you a ton of data, and you can create messaging sequences and automated follow-up sequences and all kinds of stuff with this kind of a tool. So, and even LinkedIn funnels, which is really cool. That's part of the reason I signed up for this one. So like you can, set up automations and funnels and stuff all within LinkedIn, which is really cool. So again, I would recommend those three things. Go to Google, do an industry business directory search, right? So you can start collecting industry directories specific to your niche or topic or chosen industry. Number two, look for associations, memberships, organizations, things like that. Likely you'll be able to find some, and oftentimes they will have their own professional directories. And then lastly, I would also encourage you to check out LinkedIn, because even tree contractors, which I was really surprised, tree contractors are not the type that would typically be on LinkedIn, but a lot of them are. Even if they're not active on LinkedIn, they still have profiles. So it's worth attempting outreach on LinkedIn as well. So again, I would highly encourage you to check that out. Anybody else? Okay. Next, the next question is a second question. If I could, any good real estate leads advice and best MGYB done for you services that can be used specifically for local real estate leads with some context? Real estate leads advice. I guess it would depend, Nigel, on what you're trying to, like, who are you targeting? Are you targeting residential home buyers? Are you targeting residential home sellers? Are you targeting investors? Are you targeting realtors and real estate agents? Like, I'm not sure what it is. If you want to clarify, since you're commenting, Nigel, if you want to clarify what type of targeting, I might be able to provide some insight. You know, I have a real estate business. I buy and sell vacant land. So I'm, you know, as an investor, I'm just a marketer. Like, I'm not actually a real estate investor. I'm a marketer in the real estate industry, right? So I know how to generate leads for that business, but that's, again, for my own business. So I'm not sure, you know, who you're trying to target. That's going to determine, or that will determine what the best answer is, if that makes sense. So I'll move on and I'll come back to this. Marco, he's asking all of the above for a mortgage broker. Okay. Yeah, well then, I mean, again, I would start targeting different aspects of different segments of the broad real estate market. So you're going to have specific messaging targeting buyers, right? You're going to have specific messaging targeting sellers. If it's a mortgage broker, well, I guess sellers are probably going to need a loan to buy a new home anyway, right? So yeah, I could see that. So again, it's going to depend on what market segments you're targeting, because you're going to have different messaging to different segments of the market. And they also congregate, right? You'll find those market segments in different places too, right? So again, if you're talking about wanting to target real estate professionals, LinkedIn, great source for that. Zillow, realtor.com. Like, you can find realtors in specific locations or areas on those types of sites and scrape that. And I know that there's tools out there that will scrape stuff like that. You might want to look at phantombuster.com. They have a lot of really good scraping tools, LinkedIn included, but probably Zillow scrapers and everything else, I'm sure. But, you know, targeting home buyers, that they're going to be in a different place than perhaps home sellers would be. So you have to kind of figure out where your target audiences are, and then develop messaging and ad copy or content or however you're going to be targeting them that fits in where they're already located, like the medium that they're frequenting, right? And target them that way. So I don't know if that was helpful, but that's, again, you know, real estate is so broad, you really have to fine tune your message based upon the segment that you're targeting. Hopefully that makes some sense. As far as the question about MGYB stuff, let me go back to that, Marco. Maybe you can answer this. He says, investmgyb.co, done for you services that can be used specifically for local real estate leads with some context.
Oh, God. So the first thing that comes to mind is proper keyword research, sellers and buyers, right? Because if it's mortgage brokerage, you're going to need that. And then you're going to need, it doesn't matter what it is, the entity is going to need the SEO shield, is going to need to be, you're going to need to establish a footprint. Everything that we teach is a process, a method, a system to, pardon, like repeating myself, it's a system that systematizes how everything gets done. It's a process, the way that we set up. The niche is irrelevant. The niche doesn't matter, because the process takes care of it. As long as everything is set up the right way, we've set it up so that it's successful no matter what it is. I mean, the content production has to be done, the on-page has to be right, the schema has to be right. I mean, everything that we do, you'd probably benefit from the Heavy Hitter Club. That's where you probably find the most benefit, because that's how we show you how you can best make use of your entity and how you can take that entity approach for anything that you're doing. You never hear me talking about how to go after a specific niche, because the process is always the same. It's procedural process. What is it? The Department of Redundance department, right?
Yeah, I love that. The Department of Redundancy department. I love that. So I just did a quick Google search for Zillow Scraper. I thought Phantom Buster might have one, but it doesn't look like they do. But they've got some really powerful tools. But I just did a quick search for Zillow Web Scraper, because I know, like, you know, Zillow is a wealth of information if you're in the real estate industry. And I know it pisses a lot of realtors off because, and even investors, because Zillow's kind of like They've taken that they've actually entered like the realty market themselves, as well as they're also buying up properties that are listed on Zillow for discounts, that kind of stuff. So they're also like acting as a real estate investment trust type thing, all kinds of stuff. It's crazy. So Zillow is a powerhouse in the real estate industry. And even though a lot of people are mad at them, like, I mean, you can't fault them for just being really good at what they do. Anyways, Zillow web scraper. I just clicked on this one down here because it shows December 10th, 2020, which seems to be the most recent on page 1. And there you go. Like, I mean, I haven't tested any of these, but you might want to look into doing something like using a Zillow web scraper to extract real estate professionals. Because remember, you're going to find listing agents as well as buyer's agents on Zillow. And maybe even mortgage stuff. I don't know, because I don't typically look, because I deal in cash-based real estate business. It's without loans and stuff, so I don't deal with mortgage lenders. But you might be able to find mortgage information on Zillow, like, lender information that are advertising and such on Zillow, if that makes sense. So, and that's just one of many, guys. Remember, there's Realtor.com, there's Trulia, Redfin. There's a bunch of other websites that are specific to real estate that you could probably get a shit ton of information from, build a really good prospect list from. Okay. That's a good question though. All right. We're almost out of time. Let's see. Yeah, they hate Zillow. Yeah, you're right. And I know, because I was just at a real estate investors meeting last night, and we do it once a month. And there was, realtors that come in that want to either start their own investing side to their business, or they want to work. They're realtors that want to work with investors. And it's funny, but you're right. Realtors, they really hate Zillow. I like Zillow because it helps me in my business as an investor, because it's just the data that I pull from Zillow. It's invaluable, the data that I get from Zillow. And so I like Zillow for that reason. Anyway, let's see. Last thing is Jay Duggal says, if a shield was created, this is a great question, by the way. I read this one earlier. If a shield was created with incorrect keywords, he didn't fully comprehend at the time of ordering and provided keyword plus location, etc., instead of top level brand, should I just let the shield sit and order a new one, or what would be the best move forward? I'm going to tell you what I would do, and then, but Marco's advice is going to be probably the best. What I would do in that situation is probably just set it to not public and order a new one. The only other thing you could do would be to manually go in and change everything, which I certainly wouldn't want to do. If I had somebody on my team that knew how to do all of that, maybe I would have them do it, but I might just set it to not public and then go order a new one. But that's me. Marco, what would you do?
I don't want to do all that manual work. I don't want to do all that manual work going in there and trying to correct it. But I'm not seeing if that would be a problem where he did keyword plus location. I mean, if you got the keyword research right, no, it was okay. It was created with incorrect keywords.
Yeah.
Order it again, because you have ambiguated your entity, set everything that you have to public. Now, anything else that was created, the syndication network and everything else, will have to be updated. And you'll have to write to support at mgyb.co to see whether, I mean, we don't really provide that service, but I mean, we could have someone go in and update it for you with the new keyword research, or with the new keywords for the brand. I mean, we could set up a one-off payment. I don't see why not.
Sweet. Good question. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the awesome questions. Nigel, and thanks for participating. We appreciate that, and I'm glad it was helpful. So we'll see you guys next week.